some people think that once you go EV, you're worry-free. Well, today I'm going to tell you why our friends on electric motorcycles have one really big issue that you need to be concerned with. And of course, if you live in some parts of the country, it's going to make you actually more susceptible to this. But if Hurricane Helene showed us anything, it's that no matter how far inland you are, you can be affected by this issue with an EV. Now, of course, in Western North Carolina, parts of Tennessee, upstate South Carolina, these places are devastated, right? And so it can really be an issue for a big part of the country, depending upon what type of weather you get. But it is primarily focused on people that are on the coast. So I'm going to talk about this, and of course, I want to hear your opinion. No matter if you agree or disagree with mine, let me know what you think down below. If you like what I do, consider subscribing. Let's go and get into it. And by the way, there is one link in the description of this video to help out people that have been affected by Hurricane Helene, because it is an absolute disaster in upstate South Carolina, Western North Carolina, parts of Tennessee. It's just crazy. Parts of I-26 and I-40 in that area won't be rebuilt until next year at least. So they have a lot going on, and they need a lot of help. So motorcycling community is awesome, and so I'm going to leave that link there. And of course, I put my money where my mouth is, and I contribute as well. So let's talk about these electric vehicles. They've been around for a long time, by the way. Since the 1800s, essentially, is when the first electric vehicles came about. But after World War I, the issue of price really came into the conversation, right? With the Model T consistently dropping their prices, right? While electric vehicles just keep going up and up and up, right? At one point, they were like 10 times the cost of a Model T. Range, of course, has been another issue, and with the introduction of the electric starter motor, that really kind of sealed the deal on electric vehicles as a whole. Even though they were way more expensive and they have some issues, it was never really a viable option. Once you went from hand cranking to being able to turn a key and it starts the motor, I think that was pretty much it at that point. But of course, people have always messed with electric vehicles all throughout the years since the 1800s. The other issue our friends on electric motorcycles have, or if it's something that you've looked at and you've been like, holy crap, there's no way I'm doing that, is cost. Do you remember when Livewire first came out? Do you know how much that bike costs, right? If you don't, leave a comment down below. There is no wrong answer here. If you got your comment in, yeah, be prepared for this. It was $30,000 for essentially an electric sporty Harley Davidson. You could buy a full bagger back then when that thing first came out. Hell, you still can for that amount of money. Hell, you could buy one of the new Rotor Street Glides and put some accessories on it for that kind of money. Now, since then, they've dropped in price, but you're still talking $20,000 for the Livewire itself. Now, they have some cheaper options now, but still, they lose, I don't know, hundreds of millions of dollars a year, whatever it is. I don't look at the reports like that, but either way, it's been a huge, I assume, tax write-off for the motor company because they continue to lose a bunch of money on them. But they're expensive considering what you get. Plus, you have issues with range. Now, this is highly dependent upon what you want to do with a motorcycle. If you're just commuting back and forth between you and your job, you may be doing 30 miles a day, 50 miles a day, that's not too bad, right? Set up your charging station at home and, you're good to go. You're going to save some money on gas and stuff. But still, if you want to take a longer motorcycle ride with your friends, they're probably going to be less inclined to want to go with you, because now you got to find a charging station on the road and make sure you plan that whole thing out. Whereas in a gas vehicle, you can stop at a gas station and pretty much anywhere and be ready to go in just a couple of minutes. And the other thing is maintenance, right? It's not like you're going to be totally maintenance free, right? It's not as much as people with typical gas engines and motorcycles, but you're going to have, battery coolant, potentially the cables, the charger, make sure all that stuff is in good condition, brake rotors, of course, pads even. So there's going to be some stuff there that you're going to have to take care of eventually. Maybe some fluid leaks, you never know. And plus tires, right? There's more torque with these electric motorcycles, so you may go through more sets of tires. Whether that's a big concern to you or not, I don't know, but on a motorcycle, you're going to go through those tires more frequently anyways, depending upon how much you ride. Anyways, when we compare that to a car, typically on a motorcycle, you're going to go through those, you know, the back tire every 10,000 miles roughly, the front tire maybe every 20 or 18 to 20, really just depends on how you ride, you know, and the conditions you ride in. So there's a number of different factors, but you still may go through tires quicker with an EV or electric motorcycle. And of course, taking these vehicles to certain shops, right? It's not like you can just go over to Joe Blow's Harley repairs, right? Or whatever. You're going to have to go to specific dealers. You're going to have to plan your route out and make sure that that is, you know, falls in line with the route that you and your buddies are doing. There's a lot more that goes into it. And of course, the increased cost that we've already talked about. But one of the biggest issues, if you live on the coast and you are susceptible to hurricanes, is going to be the fact that salt water is a conductor, and if it gets into those batteries, you could have a real problem on your hands. Now, these batteries are typically really well sealed, but after a little bit of time, we've seen from examples, especially in Florida, that that seal can go bad, salt water gets in, and if it creates a conductor between the negative and the positive, it will have these thermal runaways and essentially just start catching all of these cells on fire, and they've literally burnt down entire homes. I saw a video where they were doing a test so they can kind of see how new devices and electric vehicles, things with lithium ion batteries, affect inside of homes so they know how to better respond to those. Well, they took like an electric moped or some kind of electric bike, right? And they made sure this battery failed. They took all the fail safes off of it, overcharged it for a couple hours, and the results are actually really crazy.
17 seconds later, the explosion buckled the windows. This is what it looked like from the inside.
Right? I wouldn't want to be in that house at that time. That's pretty freaking scary. And by the time it goes from smoking to blowing, at that point you have a serious problem on your hand. And the fact that these fires burn at like 5,000 degrees compared to normal car fires, which are 1,500 degrees. Now, it's not going to be as likely in places where salt water isn't so much of an issue, but it can still happen with fresh water as well. So those seals, making sure that battery is sealed, of course, is obviously very crucial. You know, plus the issue of parking your vehicle away from your home, right? Tesla says this. They say park it 50 feet from any structure like your home, another car, anything if it has been affected by storm surge, any kind of salt water whatsoever. Yeah, you could do that with a car, right? With a motorcycle, you really got to keep a sharp eye on the thing, right? Because they can be more easily stolen, right? So people aren't going to be as prone to keep those outside of their homes during a storm, right? Because they're just more susceptible to weather damage. And you paid a lot of money for that electric motorcycle. So there's some complications there with a motorcycle that you don't necessarily get with even an electric vehicle. But you keep it in your home, the battery gets salt water in it, and you can see the results. So if you bought an electric vehicle and you really love it, that's fantastic. You're on two wheels. That's what really matters at the end of the day. I just want people in my community and the community at large, even if you don't watch my channel, if you just pass this video, you see it once, you never come back again. Just want you to be aware of some of those issues that can happen, especially if you live on the coast, and we're all susceptible to hurricanes. From Texas to North Carolina, every single year, this is a real threat to us. And unfortunately, Florida, being hit as often as they are, has kind of been the case study to show that electric vehicles absolutely do catch fire with nothing more than storm surge. And that's just the reality of owning an electric vehicle. So of course, I want to hear your opinion. If you have experience with this, for sure. If you have an electric vehicle, is this something that you've considered or not? If you agree or disagree, let me know what you think down below in the comments. Again, if you like what I do, consider subscribing. And if you want to help the people affected by Hurricane Helene, I have a link down below. Big thanks to you guys. See you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.